every year when I go to Cleveland to sell tickets at the Cleveland Auto Show, there's this young man that came up to me one day, and he said, because of what you guys do, I now know what it's like to take a deep breath. He comes back to see me every year, and Sean, so I'm going to have him tell you a few things, tell his story, and it's so great to see him every year, and I hope he keeps coming.
All right, I have one written here for us. Hi, I'm Sean. I'm 22 years old, and I've been diagnosed with CF when I was 4. For those who don't know, that's very, very late in life. Doctors told my parents I probably wouldn't live past 16, 17 years old. Thankfully, they were wrong. That being said, I'd like to thank everyone here for especially donating and for inviting me out here today. As a kid, it was very tough for me to keep up with others my age. Couldn't run as long, couldn't run as fast. It is what it is. My doctor told my parents it was crucial for me to stay active as a young child, so they enrolled me in a bunch of sports, soccer, football, baseball, all that fun stuff. But when I was about 12 years old, I got into studies. Studies, for study drugs, helping CF, helping me breathe better, getting all that stuff out of my lungs. Sorry, I have a speech written down. I'm just kind of going through it. Flash forward to middle school. They came out with this new study called Orkambi. Orkambi was a revolutionary drug to help me breathe. It had 3 stages of it. This was stage 1. Stage 2 and stage 3 have still been in development. Stage 2 was called Symdeko, which was also when I first met George. That drug has helped me out so much today. That's probably the only reason why I'm standing here as well. About 4 years ago, my CF has been the best it's ever been thanks to that drug. I've been better. I've been even denied of studies because I'm in too good of health. Everyone struggles with CF differently, but I am fortunate enough to have the amazing doctors and wonderful support team and good friends and family like my fiance Emily over here. So once again, I would like to thank George and everyone else out there helping, donating, and keeping me alive, basically. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Sometimes when I've done several car shows in a row, I get feeling really tired. If I didn't have the help that I had, I wouldn't be able to do it. But when I get feeling really tired, and sometimes I've said, why am I still doing this? And then somebody like Sean will come up and tell me that they have cystic fibrosis, and they want to shake my hand and thank us for what we do, and renews the whole thing again. You're not so tired anymore. Yeah. So this next person I'd like to introduce to you is Pat Feeley. He's Chief Development Officer for Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and he's here with us tonight.
Thank you, George, and thank you, Sean, for being here. You're an inspiration. And also Emily and Mel, you're our inspiration as well. And so when I think of this community, I think of speed, drive, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. I think of camaraderie that you mentioned. I think of cookies. I think of drinks. But when I think of the Cobra community, I also think of family. And you have an intimate relationship with each other, but you also have a similarity with our community. You understand the power of precision, the artistry of craftsmanship, and the importance of every single component coming together seamlessly to produce something so special. Carroll Shelby once said, "I have always loved the thunder of a classic Cobra, its power and grace unmatched on the open road." We all know the classic Cobra is a symbol of timeless beauty and exceptional performance, and its greatness can only be achieved through dedication, innovation, and the pursuit of perfection. And just like the Cobra community, the scientific community for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation is engaged in innovation and their pursuit of excellence in a race against time to find a cure for this disease. Our researchers share the same determination, the same drive, knowing that speed, technical know-how, and thinking boldly will get us to the finish line. But our researchers know that they can only do this with financial support. They are paid by you. And for that, we thank you. We thank George and Becky. We thank Pam and Dave. We thank Mark. We thank Roy. We thank all of the board members of the Ohio Cobra Club, all of the participants, Dan, Frank, all of those rides, the t-shirts, the cookies. It's an army of dollar bills. An army of dollar bills that, when rolled up, makes a significant difference in Sean's life, Emily's life, Mel's life, and so many people impacted by cystic fibrosis. Sean touched on his personal experience with this disease. Many of you already know that it affects the lungs, but it also affects the pancreas and many other organs in the body. It leads to terrible and dangerous infections. It's often like breathing through a straw. You often miss key moments in your life, whether that's a graduation, whether that's your own engagement party. So many moments that can be sidetracked from this terrible disease. But it can also for some, require a lung transplant, and unfortunately, it can lead to an early death. Now, when you think about this event starting back in 1999, the lifespan of people with CF was in its early teens at best. And when you started this journey of supporting our organization in 2001, the life expectancy for people with CF was in the late 20s or early 30s at best. But your support has led to advances in infection research, lung transplant research, and drugs that are treating the underlying condition of cystic fibrosis that are groundbreaking. Sean mentioned Orkambi as an important drug. We call it a modulator. Another one is Trikafta. There are 4 what we call blockbuster drugs. These 4 drugs we consider our Cobra. All of these advances have yielded amazing results, and the numbers simply tell a story of the return on your investment, the investment of the Cobra community, the Ohio Cobra community, all of you, from Texas to Florida, and those online watching, you have made an incredible thing happen for so many people. So I have 4 numbers to share with you tonight. The first is 56. The second is 40,000, third is 53, and my 4th number is 634. The first number, I'm happy to say that the life expectancy has jumped considerably. And this year, we have announced that the life expectancy for people born with CF today is now 56. And often in events like this and on websites like the Ohio Cobra Club, we would have the number of people with cystic fibrosis throughout the country was 30,000. While now we have updated our census, and we now say that there are 40,000 people in the United States with cystic fibrosis, which means that people are living longer. The birth rate has stayed the same, but longevity and survivorship, and people are seeing their lives extended in ways that they could never have imagined. Which brings me to this third number. In 2016, at the high water mark of lung transplants in the United States, there were 260 lung transplants for people with cystic fibrosis. Because of modulators like Orkambi that Sean is taking, that number has plummeted to just 53 last year. And perhaps one of my favorite numbers. For over a decade, each year, about 200 births would be had by women with cystic fibrosis. Since the onset of these recent breakthroughs with modulators, this past year, women who have CF, we had 634 births. We call it the cystic fibrosis baby boom, and it's because of your investment, where women are feeling healthier, men are feeling confident, and it's this sense of hope that they are going to see their children grow up. And so we hear stories of people with CF talking to their parents for the first time about, can you tell me about retirement accounts? We hear about people with CF saying, I can't believe that I'm now going to college or I'm going into the workplace. The excitement of these stories is palpable, but it's only your support that has made it happen. But unfortunately, the modulators that many of our families are able to take, and many people with CF are able to take these drugs, cystic fibrosis is a very complex disease. And I was with Fran Kaya, who spoke last year to represent the organization in the office on the day that our last modulator was announced by the FDA, called Trikafta, and it was in October of 2019. And when the president of the organization came up to the 12th floor where we're working and announced that Trikafta was approved by the FDA, everyone clapped. We were crying. We were thinking of the army of dollar bills raised by people like you that made that day possible. Coincidentally, on that same day, Fran was taking a mom on a tour of the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation's headquarters. She was excited and crying just like all of us. But she also said to Fran, I'm worried to go home. And of course, Fran knew why. Her son is not eligible for these modulators. 1 out of 10 people with cystic fibrosis have the type of mutation where these new drugs just simply don't work. Cystic fibrosis is confounding. And unfortunately, imagine at your table that someone at your table is opening up a ticket, and some say Orkambi, some say Trikafta, and then some say, I'm sorry, you're not eligible for this drug. Our community is sticking together for all people, for all of those where we do not have a drug that is going to help them. This is why we are doubling down on our major initiatives. It's why we're doubling down on our infection research initiative, and you fuel our $100 million initiative where we're going to tackle the toughest infections, not only for people with CF, but for all people. We are one of the leaders in infection research, one of the few investing in this area where we depend on antibacterial resistance through new drugs. So when you invest in CF, you're not just investing in people with cystic fibrosis, you're investing in yourselves as well. But we are squarely focused on our families, our patients, our people with CF. And you also fuel our lung transplant initiative. You would think with the number of transplants dropping, we would move on from lung transplant research, but instead we're doubling down there as well. We just recently launched the Lung Transplant Repository and Patient Registry, not only for people with CF, but for all diseases that require a lung transplant. It is the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation that is leading the way. So when you support us, you're supporting our research to try and find ways to avoid rejection for lung transplants. We're doing it selfishly for people with CF, but all other diseases are saying thank you to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation for leading the way. We are not going to give up on all of our community where lung transplant is so important. And lastly, you fuel our path to a cure. We're ultimately looking for a cure for this disease and not just a therapy. Sean, you take Orkambi every day and you depend on it, just like so many people with CF. But we want to cure your disease so that you don't have to take anything. And in order to do that, our $500 million Path to a Cure genetic initiative requires an army of dollar bills from Florida and Texas online, and so many others throughout the world that are watching, and everyone knowing that every dollar counts. Every burn ride counts. Every t-shirt counts. We have close to 1,000 events throughout the country. We are the leader in research in cystic fibrosis, but we count on you. All of these initiatives will help us advance the lives of people with CF and have far-reaching benefits for lots of other diseases as well. So in closing, let us continue to rev the engines of progress, fueled by the passion and determination of car enthusiasts, just like those of the COBRA community. Together we shall accelerate towards a future where cystic fibrosis is conquered, leaving a legacy of hope and healing for generations to come. Thank you.